Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Mac with IC Cup TV and another round of the qualifying round of 128 from the Global Gamers Invitational. This match is between Machine, the pink Zerg, and his opponent HasHe, the purple Terran. This game came by request. We wasn't necessarily going to cast this one, but a lot of people wanted to see it, so here it is. And I promise you it should be a good game because a lot of people say it ought to be. Before we move on, just have to quickly thank those sponsors. Once again, iFixit, who's provided $2,000 for this tournament, as well as Esports United, who has provided about $1,500 worth of Intel processors. That number might be off. We'll say $1,000 worth of Intel processors, as well as the Handsome Nerd, who has supplied many t-shirts to many contestants and winners. So now that that's out of the way, let's move on with this match. Again, Machine against HasHe. I'm afraid I have to admit I don't actually know either of these guys, but everyone else seems to, so this is going to be a treat for me as well as for you. So far, not much going on with either player. So far, just seeing very, very standard play. Quick scout on this SEV, which is no surprise given the small map. The Zerg player, meanwhile, looks like he might be gearing up for a... if I didn't know better, I'd say this is a fast expand build. He's probably going to be picking up a spawning pool right away. There it is, so a spawning pool on 14. And maybe we'll see a 15 hatchery, which is pretty gutsy on a small map like this, but if this guy's as good as everyone tells me he is, then I'm sure this will go fine. This SCV looking like he's going to try and intercept that worker. One hit on the SCV, and this drone will heal up the rest of that damage. Very, very standard play from the Terran player right now. The gas is up a few seconds before the barracks. So there will be enough gas for a tech building if he decides to add a tech lab or a reactor. Of course, that'll be impossible given its location, so that probably isn't coming at this point in time. And we did get a fast hatchery from Machine, so he is fast expanding on Steps of War, so that's pretty gutsy. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some early pressure from the Terran opponent, but hard to tell at this point in time. Looks like HasHe is completing his wall off 2 supply depots, which should point out is a pretty exposed wall to have against a Zerg opponent. If Machine decides to go for a Baneling bust, this is highly exposed, easily to taking down both of those supply depots. Only needs 5 Banelings, and he will be in and loose. We are getting a fast factory from HasHe, so probably going to have some Hellion harass in response to this fast expansion. So still very standard play from both players. This is exactly what we'd expect in a Terran versus Zerg and a fast expansion. And the first Zerglings are out for Machine, probably going to use these as scouts. He is going to be chased off by this one Marine, but he definitely sees that exposed line of supply depots, so that Baneling bust option definitely available, and Machine certainly knows it. So we'll see if he decides to go for that. No Baneling nest in production yet. He is just saturating, it looks like. And by the sounds of things, he is also taking down these rocks, so already potentially planning to grab a third expansion on such a small map. So Machine definitely playing his hand, showing that he's intending to play a very macro game. At least that's how I read that. And we are getting that first Hellion out from HasHe, as well as a starport, so maybe you're going to see some Hellion harass followed by Banshee harass. And he's going to be moving out with just the single Hellion, looks like. So no pre-igniter, no extra Hellions, just the lone Hellion. So we'll see if he can make anything happen with that single unit. There is a Spine Crawler going down and a Queen already up, so he'll have a hard time doing much damage to that Hellion. Has found a single Zergling and quickly roasts him. And we are going to Lair Tech. Zergling speed is not opted for by Machine, so going straight for Lair. And there's that Hellion trying his best to harass. Looks like he didn't get any Zerglings. There's a couple, but they surround him. And the Hellion does go down, so Machine's expansion does look fairly secure, so I have to eat my words there. Definitely a risky play, but has not been harassed, and there isn't a timing attack brewing here from HasHe. He's just laying down all of his tech buildings, building a command center of his own, so he will be expanding in parallel with his opponent. And there is indeed a Banshee coming out, so probably going to be some Banshee harass fairly soon. Neither player looks like they're planning any expeditions into one another's bases at this point in time. Both sides just content to sit back. We are getting a scan, and the Roach Warren is spotted, so probably Roach Hydra or Roach Mutalisk from Machine. We'll see which one that ends up being. Also, Siege Tech being researched. So looks like... it's hard to tell what he will do with that. Siege Tank's just good against Zerg in general. Mech play in general, very, very strong. Siege Tank's good against Lings, good against Banelings, good against pretty much everything, so that is a good call. And does seem to be massing a fair deal of Marines. Does have this Tech Lab, which he isn't really using for upgrades or for Marauders. And we'll see how this Banshee Assault goes. He is going to try and harass 2 Queens waiting for him, so I can't see how this is going to be effective. There's even a Overseer morphing in a cocoon right now, so there's really no way that this Banshee will be able to harass anything effectively, so it is limping home. And we do have a Spire, so it looks like it will be Roach Mutalisk from Machine in Tier 2 here, picking up that Roach speed right now. And still haven't quite got the expansion down for HasHe. There it is, so he's going to be landing that shortly. And looking at that income tab, quite an impressive difference. That is a 14 now, 14 difference between the two, so a huge lead from this Zerg player. He isn't quite as far in terms of tech, but man, what a difference in income. And army-wise, you see there is quite a gap there, so HasHe might be able to push with this force, but just not quite enough. He spots that changeling pretty easily, and there come those SCVs transferring off onto this expansion command center. Sounds like the Zerglings are still working on this wall, and still haven't quite brought it down, so no third expansion as of yet. Some very, very nice Overlord placement here. Looking at the vision of Machine, he has a... If anything moves out, he will be aware of it. The only way units can move is right up the middle. Also expanding the creep very nicely. And another venture of Banshees, 2 moving out from HasHe. See if they can maybe slow down this Zerg economy a little bit. We are getting also the first Mutalisks out. So we got Mutalisks and Banshees both coming out at the same time. The Banshees look like they're going to find this Queen and Zerglings. They are going to shoot down those Lings, and the Mutalisks have found them, so the first Banshee is certainly going to go down, and we'll see if he can catch the second Banshee. It's going to be close either way. Only 4 Mutalisks, but still quite a ways before he'll get the support. And it looks like HasHe is focusing on Ravens, Siege Tanks, and Marines. That's a very, very strong and simple combination. Marines to deal with Mutalisks, Siege Tanks to deal with pretty much everything else, and Ravens denying any burrowed units. Notice he even threw down that auto turret there to prevent the Mutalisk harass. So nice play by HasHe, really showing that he is a sharp player. No doubt about that. Now playing off of 3 barracks and just pumping Marines full speed ahead. He has picked up Stim, but not Combat Shield as of yet, but it looks like he is committing to a Siege Tank, Marine, probably going to see some Medivacs and Ravens. Not sure about that though, and we are getting another incursion from these Mutalisks. There are now 5 of them moving down from the north, and this is a relatively unexposed base. There are some Marines that are stimming in, and it looks like the Mutalisks are going to be chased off. Not that many Marines, but I guess enough that Machine figures it's not worth it. He does pull out, and those missile turrets will go up, so Mutalisk harass will not be effective anymore. That third hatchery is going up for Machine, so both players just macroing like crazy in their base, producing units, producing structures, and a ton of Banelings being morphed from Machine, so maybe we're going to see some aggression very soon. Zerglings, Roaches, and Banelings with a few Mutalisks to harass. Those Banelings will be very, very nice against that huge pile of Marines. However, they will have to get past all those